So Assassin's Creed Shadows continues to be a complete disaster, and it's not even out yet, but all the stories, everything that's been going on surrounding this game has been nothing but an absolute shit show, to say the least. That it's just, you could tell this game is already cooked. Like, you just know it. Before a game even comes out, you know when a game is not going to do well, and this is one of those examples. 100%. The main point of contention is Yasuke, the black protagonist, due to the game being set in feudal Japan, and apparently there were rumors going around that the game was delayed, because we all know about Assassin's Creed Shadows getting delayed. It got delayed from November to February, so they got an extra 3 months of development now to release this game, and there's been a lot of speculation and rumors that say, oh, like, they're taking this extra 3 months to take Yasuke out of the game and replace him with a Japanese protagonist. And apparently there's other rumors that said that the Japanese protagonist was actually the original one, and they decided midway through development to replace it with Yasuke in order to make the game more inclusive. So there's a whole bunch of different conflicting stuff going on, but Tom Henderson, who is obviously a well-respected insider and leaker in the video game industry, he's provided a lot of clarification on the matter in terms of the delay and what the reasons were behind it. I, of course, will leave a link to that in the description, but he pretty much says that the main reasons why the game was delayed, it was pretty much two main reasons, which was to be able to polish the game up, fix any outstanding bugs, which apparently there are a lot of, which is no surprise, and then also to address concerns regarding historical accuracy, which is funny because they talk about how, well, you know, when you talk about Yasuke specifically, it's like, well, this isn't an actual historically accurate game. This is a fiction game, yada, yada, yada. But then you see stuff like this where they're actually trying to address concerns about culture and historical accuracy. It's all just just having Yasuke there. They could do all that other stuff, like I guess change some of the architecture to make it more Japanese because it looked like it was Chinese architecture being used, like little things to improve the immersion and to make it feel more Japanese is apparently part of why the game is being delayed, and that the historical advisors that came to help them develop the game, apparently they didn't come in until like much later in development, so they're scrambling right now to make it better. It doesn't matter because that seems to be the number one point of contention, is having a black protagonist in a game set in feudal Japan, which some people are going to say whatever about, but the fact of the matter is that, talk about representation and diversity, right? Well, Asian representation is not something that's necessarily a very common thing in the video game industry. It's not like, oh, like there's so much Asian characters and Asian protagonists. Not really. So it's one thing if you have a game set in whatever, like let's say it's like a Grand Theft Auto type game, and they had a black protagonist instead of an Asian protagonist. That is one thing, but when the game is specifically set in Asia, in Japan, not just modern Japan, but ancient, like feudal Japan, 1500s, whatever, that obviously shows that this was not a creative decision to enhance the story and, you know, to tell a good narrative. It's to push a certain agenda, obviously. And I'm not part of the group that says, oh, everything is woke, everything is you know, DEI and all these different things. I don't parrot the same right-wing talking points that most of these YouTubers do. But I'm also a pragmatic person who understands when they're just, like, going too far with certain things. Like, this is just fucking stupid. The whole decision behind the protagonist of Assassin's Creed Shadows makes no sense. No sense at all. Who are you selling this game to? Who are you marketing it to? You're not marketing it to Japan, obviously, because they have no interest in buying this game. And even most Western gamers don't seem interested in this game either. So, I don't know who, like, you're gaining more new customers by doing this? Like, the business decision behind this, like, just as a business decision, it's horrible, and there's no logic whatsoever. Not to mention, we're talking about bugs and technical difficulties and historical accuracy. You have 3 months to do that. I don't think you're going to fundamentally change the game and enhance it and change it from, let's say, a 6 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10 by adding just 3 months to development time. games that take multiple years to make, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, obviously, if there's a lot of bugs, then fixing that, like, they will definitely be able to do more of that, more quality testing and all that. But it's funny how they haven't learned their lesson, though, from 10 years ago. Because this delay was like, it happened at the last minute. It like, less than 2 months before release, a month and a half before original release. And there's like, oh, we gotta delay it because the game is filled with bugs and all these issues that the game has. Like, they didn't learn that lesson. They should have learned that lesson in 2014 with Assassin's Creed Unity, because that was one of the worst video game launches of all time. It was an unplayable piece of shit, and it was just broken for so long. And it's crazy that happened a decade ago, and they haven't taken any lessons out of that experience, which is just... I mean, Ubisoft is just inept. They are a company that's being run to the ground. Terrible decision after terrible decision. And Assassin's Creed Shadows is, Assassin's Creed is their flagship franchise. And the fact that they're just mismanaging it so bad, it really says a lot about the current state of Ubisoft. And it's been a downward spiral for years, but it feels like it's finally coming to a head. People have finally had enough and just don't want nothing to do with Ubisoft and the games that they're coming out with. They just don't give a shit. No one gave a shit about Star Wars Outlaws. No one gave a shit about X-Defiant. Certainly no one cared about Skull and Bones. And those are just examples of games that came out this year. Never mind all the other flops that they've had in previous years that just completely bombed. So, it's cooked. Ubisoft is cooked. I've talked about it before. But, yeah, this game is not looking good. And they're shitting bricks right now. They don't know what to do. The thing that they should do, though, is delay the game even further and stop... They probably should replace Yasuke, honestly. That would probably be the best decision, but then it's like, oh, they're racist. The media will fucking hound them for it because the game media and the regular media are gonna, portray it in a way that Ubisoft is racist and wants to erase black history from feudal Japan. I know Yasuke was a real person, and he existed, but there's very little actual records about who he actually was and if he actually even was a samurai, right? Very obscure and not very impactful historical figure, so out of all the historical figures to go at, and that's the thing, Assassin's Creed has never done actual historical figures. It's always been fictional characters. Ezio was not a real person. Altair was not a real person. Cassandra, Connor, every single protagonist in Assassin's Creed was never based off of an actual person. It's always been a fictional character. Now suddenly, we want to have Yasuke, a very important historical figure. We want to be the center stage protagonist. I'm just saying, it's kind of weird that now's the time to do that, and that person specifically. But Tom Henderson says they're not going to replace him. They're all in on Yasuke. We'll see how that goes for them.